It is 11 p.m. You are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Suddenly, you feel a rush of clarity. You tell yourself that tomorrow is the day. You will finally start that project. You will hit the gym at 6 a.m. You will change your life. You feel powerful just thinking about it. But then the sun rises. The alarm screams. The room is cold and your bed is warm. That motivated version of you from last night has completely vanished. You hit snooze, you roll over, and the guilt kicks in. We have a term for this in behavioral science. It is called the intention-action gap. It is the massive canyon between your ideal self who plans the success and your actual self who has to do the work. Most people live and die inside this gap. They wait for motivation that never comes. If you are tired of this cycle, I want you to do something small right now. Go to the comment section and type the number 1. Just type the number 1. This is your first act of discipline. This is your signal that you are done waiting for the perfect moment. Let us close that gap together. To understand how to escape this trap, we have to look at the story of a young man named Arthur. Arthur lived in a peaceful village surrounded by green hills and fields of golden wheat. He was not weak. He was not untalented. In fact, the villagers said Arthur had the hands of a master. He was a blacksmith capable of crafting the finest swords and tools in the entire land. But Arthur had a secret problem. He was suffering from a severe case of what psychologists call limbic friction. He had high ambitions but low activation energy. His workshop was a graveyard of good intentions. It was filled with half-forged tools and cold iron. There were plows for the farmers that were weeks late. There were swords for the guards that were only half finished. Arthur did not lack the skill to finish them. He lacked the ability to start. Every morning he would wake up slowly. He would sip his tea and watch the clouds drift across the sky. He would tell himself a lie that destroyed his potential. He said, "I will start my work tomorrow when I feel like it." Arthur believed that action follows inspiration. He spent his days by the river, visualizing his success, imagining the applause of the village. His brain was flooded with cheap dopamine, making him feel successful without doing any of the hard labor. But while Arthur dreamed, his reality was falling apart. The weeds grew around his workshop. The villagers stopped admiring him and started whispering. Arthur was a genius who was slowly rusting away because he was waiting for a feeling that would never come. Arthur did not just sit there feeling guilty all day. He did something very specific to cope. He would go down to the river and daydream. He imagined the applause he would get if he finished the work. He played a movie in his head where he was already a respected master blacksmith. This is what neuroscientists call a false reward loop. When Arthur imagined that applause, his brain released a hit of dopamine as if he had already achieved it. He felt satisfied without doing any of the actual labor. He was hacking his own chemistry to feel accomplished while his reality was rusting away. It was a perfect closed loop of failure. But you cannot hallucinate your way out of obligations. The real world eventually intrudes. One day the village chief came to the workshop. He did not care about Arthur's potential. He cared that the farmers had no plows and the guards had no swords. He looked Arthur in the eye and said, "If you do not change, you will lose your place in this village." This was rock bottom. That night, Arthur sat alone in his workshop. The moonlight reflected on a cold, half-finished sword. He whispered to himself, "I want to be great, but I cannot even force myself to work." He had moved from denial to conscious incompetence. He knew he was stuck, but he was physically unable to move. The next morning a stranger arrived. His name was Samuel, an old blacksmith known for his wisdom. Samuel did not give Arthur a pep talk. He did not try to motivate him. He looked at the dusty hammers and asked a single question. "Do you know the secret to greatness?" Arthur shook his head. Samuel said, "Discipline is like iron. It is not a personality trait. It is a raw material. You must hammer it every day, even when your hands ache. Only then does it become strong." Arthur asked, "But how do I start when I feel so heavy?" Samuel gave him the protocol. It is a method we now call lowering activation energy. He said, "Do not think about the finished sword. That is too big. Your brain will freeze. Just work for 5 minutes. Then 10. You must trick your brain by making the first step so small it cannot say no." Samuel looked deep into Arthur's eyes and said, "Motivation comes and goes, but action will always carry you forward. Never wait for feelings. Be the person who works even when it hurts." Arthur decided to try. The first day was a battle against his own biology. He lifted the hammer and his arms felt heavy. This was the limbic friction kicking in. His brain screamed for the easy dopamine of the river. It hated this new difficulty, but Arthur stuck to the 5-minute rule. He worked for 5 minutes, then 10, then 30. By sunset, he had finished one small plow. It was not a masterpiece, but it was finished. It was a data point of success. Arthur realized that the feeling of pride he was chasing only comes after the suffering of work. You cannot front-load the pride. If you are rooting for Arthur right now, I have a challenge for you. Arthur had to fight through the pain to get his result. If you are ready to fight for your goals, hit the like button right now. Do it for the version of you that wants to win. Let us see how many of us are ready to pick up the hammer. Weeks turned into months. Arthur kept using the 5-minute rule every single morning. The workshop was no longer a graveyard of good intentions. It was filled with shining swords and sturdy plows. The villagers stopped whispering about his laziness. They started traveling from neighboring towns just to buy his tools. Arthur had bridged the gap between who he was and who he wanted to be. One evening, Samuel returned to the village. He walked into the busy workshop and looked at the wall of finished weapons. He asked Arthur a crucial question. He said, "Do you love the work? Now is it easy for you?" Arthur smiled and gave an honest answer. He said, "No. Some days I still hate it. Some days the limbic friction is high and I want to quit. But I do not wait for the feeling anymore, or I just lift the hammer. I have learned that confidence is not a feeling, it is a result." Samuel nodded and shared one last piece of wisdom. He said, "Iron that is not hammered does not stay the same. It rusts. It becomes brittle and useless. Your potential works the same way. Every day you delay, your skills are rusting. Every time you wait for motivation, your character gets weaker." This is the final lesson for you watching this video. You are not lazy and you are not broken. You are simply waiting for a magical morning that will never come. You are letting your dreams rust while you wait for the perfect mood. Arthur proved that you can change your life without changing your feelings first. You just need to lower the activation energy. You just need to start for 5 minutes. So I have a question for you to answer in the privacy of your own mind. Which part of your life is currently rusting because you are waiting for the vibe to be right? Is it your health? Is it your career? Do not let it rust any longer. If this story helped you pick up your hammer, then please hit the subscribe button. We tell stories that help you bridge the gap between intention and action. Do not just watch this video and move on. Go do the thing you have been avoiding. Go make your future self proud.